I'm currently locked in my bathroom, staring at a positive pregnancy test sitting on the counter next to a DNA report. But the reason I'm vomiting into the sink isn't because my wife is my half-sister. It's because I just found a text message on my mother's phone that proves they planned it. Our parents didn't just hide the truth, they engineered it. It was supposed to be the year of us. That's what Sarah called it. We'd been married for 3 years, the kind of marriage people envy. We finished each other's sentences. We had the same weird allergy to strawberries. We both had that strange, crooked pinky toe. Everyone, our friends, our neighbors, even the pastor at our wedding, always said, "You two are so similar. It's like you were cut from the same cloth." If I could go back to that wedding day, I would scream until my throat bled. I would tear down the decorations. But back then, it felt like destiny. The DNA test was a joke, a stupid trend. We were at a dinner party, and our friend Mark was bragging about being 4% Viking. Sarah laughed, her nose scrunching up in that way I adored, and said, "Babe, let's do it. Maybe we're related to royalty." I ordered the kits, 2 tubes, 2 plastic bags. We spat into them on a Tuesday night while watching a horror movie. I remember the air smelled like popcorn and rain. I remember kissing her forehead after she sealed the envelope. I remember thinking how lucky I was to find someone who understood me so completely. The results came in via email at 3 a.m. on a Tuesday. I couldn't sleep. Just this nagging feeling, like static in my brain. I opened the app on my phone, the blue light blinding in the dark bedroom. I didn't see a pie chart of ethnicities. I saw a red banner. "High genetic match detected." I scrolled down, expecting a distant cousin, maybe a second cousin. Instead, I saw Sarah's username, relationship, sibling/half-sibling, shared DNA, 26%. The phone slipped out of my sweaty hand and hit the floor. The noise sounded like a gunshot in the quiet room. Sarah shifted in her sleep, her arm draped over the duvet. That arm, it looked so much like mine. The pale skin, the vein structure. I ran to the bathroom and threw up. It had to be a mistake, lab contamination. But then I started thinking, the coincidences, the fact that neither of us had met the other's extended family until the wedding because of scheduling conflicts. The way my mother and her father seemed to get along too well at the rehearsal dinner. I didn't wake Sarah. I couldn't look at her without seeing a monster. I grabbed my keys and drove to my parents' house. It was pouring rain, a torrential downpour that made the world look like it was melting. I pounded on my parents' door until the wood splintered. My dad opened it, rubbing his eyes, but when he saw my face, drenched, pale, shaking, he stopped. "You knew," I hissed, shoving the phone in his face. "Tell me you didn't know." My mother appeared in the hallway. She didn't look shocked. She looked resigned, like she was waiting for a timer to go off. They sat me down at the kitchen table, the same table where I ate cereal as a kid. My dad held my mom's hand. "It was an affair," my dad said, his voice trembling. 30 years ago, Sarah's dad and your mother. It just happened. We moved away to protect you. We never thought, out of all the people in the world, you two would find each other." They cried. They begged for forgiveness. They called it a tragic cosmic coincidence. "We didn't want to ruin your happiness," my mom sobbed. "We saw how much you loved her. We couldn't break your heart." I felt a wave of nausea, but also relief. It was sick. Yes, it was disgusting, but it was an accident. A 1 in a billion chance. I stood up feeling numb. I had to go home and tell my wife, my sister, that our marriage was over, that we were victims of fate. I asked to use their bathroom before I left. I needed to wash the cold sweat off my face. I left my phone on the kitchen table, but while I was in the bathroom, I realized I needed a towel. I opened the linen closet in the hallway. Tucked behind a stack of towels was a box. It wasn't marked photos or taxes. It was labeled Project Genesis. My stomach dropped. I opened it. Inside there were photos, not of me. Photos of Sarah. Sarah at 5 years old, Sarah at 10, Sarah at her high school graduation. There were emails printed out, emails between my mother and Sarah's father. I grabbed one dated 5 years ago, 2 years before I met Sarah. Sender, Mom. Subject, Phase 2. He's moving to Seattle next month. I've arranged for him to rent the apartment on 4th Street. It's 2 blocks from her coffee shop. Make sure she's working the morning shift on Tuesdays. He always goes for coffee on Tuesday mornings. We need to force the collision. My hands shook so hard the paper rattled. I dug deeper. Medical records. Genetic compatibility assessment. Charts analyzing our immune systems, our IQs, our bone density, and a note in my father's handwriting. The bloodline must be consolidated. The recessive traits are eliminated when the siblings breed. Grandchild will be perfect. They didn't hide it because they were ashamed. They didn't move away to separate us. They moved away to groom us. They raised us apart, shaped our personalities, and then guided us toward each other like lab rats in a maze. They wanted this. They wanted us to marry. They wanted us to reproduce. I heard footsteps. I shoved the papers back into the box, but I kept one photo, a picture of Sarah and me as toddlers, playing together in a park I don't remember, with the date stamped on the back. Proof we knew each other before they wiped our memories. I walked out of the bathroom. My parents were standing in the hallway. They weren't crying anymore. They were standing tall, blocking the exit. Their faces were cold, emotionless. "You shouldn't have looked in the closet," my dad said. His voice wasn't shaky anymore. It was clinical. I pushed past them. I ran to my car. I didn't stop driving until I got home. I burst into our house, ready to grab Sarah and run, ready to tell her we were victims of a cult, a sick experiment. I found her in the bathroom. She was holding a plastic stick. She looked up at me, her eyes shining with tears of joy. "Babe," she squealed, "you're home. I have a surprise. The DNA test. It doesn't matter. Look." She held up the pregnancy test. 2 pink lines. "We're having a baby." I froze. I looked at her smile. That innocent, beautiful smile. And then I saw it. On the counter next to the test was her phone. It lit up with a text message. From Dad. Message: "Did he take the bait? Is the subject pregnant yet? We need to begin the prenatal shots immediately." I looked into Sarah's eyes. Really looked. She wasn't surprised by the DNA results. She wasn't scared. She smiled, and for the first time, I saw the madness behind it.